Hey there troopers, Dan here. So it's another update on the JMC E-11 blaster. So I've started gluing a few parts on now, some of the parts that are of the same paint type. So basically when you spray it, you can spray it in one go and those parts should have the same paint effect. So that's what I've been starting to glue on here. I'll show you some videos and photos in a second. If you're enjoying the videos, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe. We're just about to crack 400 subscribers, which is great. So if you'd like to join us, please feel free. Let's pass you over to me, but from the other side of the camera. See you in a moment. Hello again, troopers. Thanks for watching that intro. Just showing you now, this is the progress update on the JMC E-11 blaster. So as you can see, I've actually started attaching some parts to the barrel of the gun. As it's very early days, I'm actually, maybe a bit of a surprise here, but I'm using E-11, well, actually Gorilla Glue, which is the sort of modern equivalent to the E-11 glue that everyone uses. But this, it does dry to a very solid hold, basically. It's got a good adhesion to it, but it is removable if you needed to. So I'm going with that for now, Gorilla Glue Clear, just to temporarily glue these parts on. I'll have a bit of a firmness test on them when they're dry, make sure that they are up to par, and if they are, then of course that would be good for the painting process. So I've got here, front muzzle is now attached into the blaster, into the barrel. The sight, I've mentioned this before, is a two-part sight. Now, in fairness, because the original sights were, I think it's called a dovetail fitting, where this lighter part in the middle here, the actual sight with the pin on it, on the original E-11s or the original Sterlings, they would have had that dovetail fitting. I will put a photo up of that now. So realistically, this would sit lower. I could have sanded it down a lot more to make it lower, but in fairness, a lot of this kit, I'm just trying to build it as sort of a test run, really. I'm just trying to test fit the parts almost as they are. So if somebody's going for a simple build and they don't want to go to too much effort changing things, how will it turn out? How easy is it to put together? The answer is very, but as I say, that's coming on really nicely. Just to say as well, the sight guard here, this black part, was already curved underneath, which matches the shape of the barrel, but things like the actual sight in the middle here, right in the front, and things like the rear sight, let's pan around slowly so I don't make you all sick. This rear sight here was flat at the bottom, so to get it to fit the curvature of the barrel, I've just done some sanding there. A good tip for that, by the way, and I showed photos in a previous video, get your sandpaper and wrap it around the surface you want it to fit to. In other words, this is the barrel that it wants to fit onto, so you wrap a piece of sandpaper around the barrel and then sand sort of over the top of the barrel there, backwards and forwards, and that will give you the same curvature as you've got on the object you're gluing to. So as I say, that is coming along really nicely. As sort of reference, but not really reference, I've actually got my Doopy Doos blaster in the background there, and that's a good way for me because I spent an awful lot of time on that, modifying it and making sure the parts were in the right place, including, for example, the scope mounting, the Henxler counter, the power cylinders, all sorts of things. So I'm using that as a bit of a reference. But also, if you're building a blaster like this yourself, do check out the FISD E-11 blaster build reference guide. It's an absolute stunner. It's a PDF full of page after page after page of how to build an E-11 blaster, and it's absolutely stunning. So I'm using that as well. Next up, I'll probably move on to the grip. That's pretty much ready to go, but on the originals, I said this before, the grip was a plastic, whereas this part in the middle was metal. So for me, I'm going to keep them separate for now and then spray this and this independently. This is one of the few parts on an E-11 blaster that was made of plastic. So it was a gloss black rather than sort of a weathered appearance. So as I say, that's going to be one of the next things to come. This here, that's the rear end cap that goes on the back end of the barrel. This part here actually holds the D-ring in, and what I'll do for that is, rather than just glue it on, although again you could, if you want to go for a simple build, you could just sand that down at the bottom, which I've sort of done basically. You could do that, glue it down, put the D-ring in, job done. But the originals, from what I can see, actually had a dip in the center here. So what I'm going to do is effectively sand out a hole in the middle, a dip should I say, not a hole. Just want to lower it down by a couple of millimeters so that this part will sit into that part on the back of the end cap. But anyway, I think that's going to cover this video for now. As I say, so started gluing it. It's really starting to look like an E-11 blaster now. And yes, more updates to come soon. If you've enjoyed the video, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Speak to you later. Bye.